Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
This past week, I delivered the 7th annual Rabbi Hillel Cohen Lecture on the contemporary Jewish experience at Cal State University, San Bernardino. Rabbi Cohen is a rabbi's rabbi and a respected colleague. The lecture in his name is the first time in the entire history of the Cal State University system that a rabbi has been so honored. In years past, some of my personal heroes, like Rabbi David Ellenson of blessed memory, have delivered the lecture, and I was deeply honored to be added to the list. The fact that they flew me out to Southern California, enabling me to spend a precious 48 hours with my folks, made it that much easier for me to say yes. Not to mention giving me the chance to visit the place name of the 1970 Jeff Christie hit song, San Bernardino. My remarks, as you would hope from your rabbi, were strong and well received, an exploration of the last century of American Jewish life leading up to the tensions we presently face. But the most notable thing about the evening was not anything I said, but the nature of my reception on campus. As I entered the lecture hall, I was handed a flyer by someone who did not know that it was me about me. Apparently, as a proud Zionist, I am what is known as a genocide enabler. The chants coming from the protesters outside the lecture hall were not pleasant ones. According to the aforementioned flyer, I am, quote, actively involved in financing war crimes and crimes against humanity in Gaza. How, the flyer asked its reader, could the university have invited a person like me to campus? In retrospect, I should have seen it coming, and I've been thinking about the evening ever since. But the most upsetting thing about it was not the fact that the protesters, truth be told, I felt like I had finally made it. Wow, I thought, me? They're protesting me? A little flattered, a little grateful, a little relieved. I now had a topic for my Shabbat sermon. I was, to be sure, a little annoyed that in addition to the other mistakes in the literature they were passing out, my protesters had misspelled my name. There were factual inaccuracies in the contention that Park Avenue Synagogue had raised $18 million for the, quote, Israel criminal forces. We have raised much, much more. To be clear, I was never interrupted, and I never felt physically unsafe. Cal State San Bernardino is not UC Berkeley. The university's administration did a great, great job setting the tone and the safety of the evening, though it was a new feeling to be whisked away Mick Jagger-like through a back door of campus police following the event, escorted not just to my car, but to the highway itself. I'm sorry to have missed the reception that followed. If invited back, which I hope I am, my one request would be a snack box to go for my future ride home. It was neither the police escort nor the plainclothes police in the lecture hall itself, nor the flyers, nor the protesters that bothered me. We live in changed times. I'm not naive. And 6 months into this war, we've all sadly grown accustomed to the blurred lines between anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism, and between acceptable social protest and verbal and physical intimidation. We're all learning to live with the unimaginable. What surprised me, what upset me, and truth be told, what saddened me that I want to talk about, was my exchange following my remarks with the students themselves, or more precisely, my non-exchange with them. I don't remember the precise questions, but for the purposes of this morning, let's presume that they went along the lines of, how can I justify the actions of a genocide-enabling Israel or conscious supporting it. But what I do remember are the cell phones in their hands. For every question being asked of me, there was a sidekick to that person, phone in hand, recording my every move. In the days since, I've compared notes with friends and come to understand that while it was new to me, such vigilante videography is a well-worn tactic and sign of the times, an electronic ambush, a TikTok takedown to catch someone saying or doing something worthy of then being reposted on social media, the attempt to get an off-the-cuff or hot mic moment that can then be clipped and posted onto Facebook or Instagram and bolster a person's clout and cause and sully the character of the person caught in that gotcha moment. And the whole thing made me so sad, because while my talk wasn't actually about Israel, being the kind of guy that I am, I was ready and willing to talk to anyone, especially college students, especially students who hold views contrary to my own. I live for that sort of thing. But that's not what happened. I saw the iPhones and the Androids, and I shut down. Their insistence to record, the telltale sign that the goal of that person was not dialogue, but the performative leveraging of social media. I explained to the students that I'm happy to talk, to listen, to debate, on the condition that they put their cameras away. An exchange of ideas, by all means. A clip for their Instagram feed, no way. They refused, I declined, and I walked away. It was all so sad. A lost opportunity for dialogue and discourse, a chance to challenge someone's views and have my own views challenged, a chance to see that despite our differences, we can dignify each other's humanity, a chance to build a bridge of dialogue, and all that down the drain. See, much maligned as social media is, often rightfully so, my point is not to bemoan the proliferation of smartphones in the public square. There's nothing wrong. Actually, sometimes there's everything right with our ability to record in real time, be it the need to document a fender bender or catching a comedian using a derogatory racial slur. Accountability is a good thing. Lest anyone forget, as our rabbinic intern Aidan Pink reminded me, it was not until the incontrovertible truth of 17-year-old Darnella Fraser's recording of Derek Chauvin's actions that the murder of George Floyd was believed to have been anything other than, quote, medical distress as logged in the original statement of the Minneapolis Police Department. I deeply appreciate the democratizing power of iPhones and YouTube clips. Not everyone has a figurative and literal pulpit to preach from, and iPhones and social media can serve as an important corrective to that imbalance. Long before present technology, it was Louis Brandeis who, in his famous 1913 article, What Publicity Can Do, reflected on the wickedness of people shielding wrongdoers, and his famous aphorism that sunlight is the best of disinfectants. When done right, a well-placed video clip can play an important part in our democratic process. The problem, I believe, is that in order for dialogue, idea exchanging, mind changing, real dialogue to happen, a requisite degree of vulnerability is necessary. You need to be able to share your views plainly and honestly, giving voice to the personal and collective experience that root them and give rise to them. Our beliefs are reflections of our biographies. To share them is to share a part of ourselves. Dialogue means giving expression to who we are, to listen intently, attentively, and most importantly, empathetically to the other side. Good dialogue is never take it or leave it. An idea is tendered, countered, sharpened, reframed, and tendered again and again and again. We allow our views to be challenged. We interrogate them ourselves, even as we challenge the thoughts and opinions of our sparring partners. Absolute truth belongs to God alone. The debate of ideas is meant to nudge us closer to, but never fully to, that truth. Sometimes the process makes us more secure in our views. In the words of the late Rabbi Arthur Hertzberg, one cannot affirm one's own certainties without engaging in the counter-certainties of another. Sometimes, lo and behold, we change our minds. But in all times, hopefully, we come to appreciate another person's views as situated in their humanity. But none of this happens if the cell phones come out. When dialogue is reduced to a performative exercise, there is a loss on both sides. For the person holding the recording device, they're already one step removed. It's not the exchange of ideas they're thinking about, but the clever or damning post to follow, that's their focus. As for the person being recorded, the other night, yours truly, the shields go up, the introspection goes down, and the possibility for reflective and creative dialogue dials down to zero. The element of intimidation, the threat of broadcast, it fosters silence, not dialogue, stifling speech, not nurturing it. There's a reason that any historic negotiation, be it Oslo or Camp David or otherwise, happens in some press-free location for the parties to speak their hearts and minds and do the most daring thing of all, to share their doubts with one another. It cannot be performative. You have to be able to be human, to go for that walk in the woods or chat with your guard down. There are wonderful programs, dialogue programs, in America and in Israel deserving of our support and participation. Seeds for Peace, Setting the Table, Roots, Encounter, the Parents Circle Forum, to name just a few. It's not easy, but it's also not rocket science. I know, for one, that in my years as a rabbi, of the incalculable number of people who have voiced disagreement with me, it has been those individuals who have reached out, invited me for a coffee to quietly debate a position, who are not only the people whose opinions I respect most, but the people whose views have served to shape my own. Indeed, while the impetus for my remarks today began with what happened the other night and the need to create dialogue between our community and those beyond our community, I'm equally, if not more, pained when I see such gotcha aggressions within our own people. Individuals who would misrepresent the views of another Jew in public, individuals in positions of Jewish, communal, journalistic, or rabbinic leadership who would rather write a post or an article maligning someone, not even having inquired as to what or why another colleague said what they said. No matter where such individuals fall on the political spectrum, their behavior is reprehensible. They exist beyond the pale of what our community stands for, and they will never be extended a platform to share their views on this bima. One does not need to be a rabbi or even to know our Torah reading very well to know that community can only be sustained by way of a series of mechanisms by which deeds committed intentionally and unintentionally, by malice or by mistake, can be differentiated and understood, and then perhaps more significantly, the means by which repentance, restitution, and communal reentry achieved. When used as an aggressive act, social media has the opposite effect of the rituals of Leviticus, a means of contagion, not purification, contamination, not purgation, exclusion, not inclusion. We should expect more from ourselves and certainly our leaders. The student body of Cal State San Bernardino is a diverse one, 80% of whom are first-generation college students. The epilogue of the evening, both solace and sorrow, came by way of an email I received upon my return to New York. The reflections of a Jewish student present at the lecture, a first-generation immigrant originally from the former Soviet Union. He expressed deep gratitude and appreciation for my presence and talk, but given that it was protested, also sadness and loneliness. Given his family history, he was well aware of the toxic effects of non-democratic and anti-Semitic regimes. After years of discrimination, the promise of America was thought to be a country that values diversity, protecting its citizens from ethnic, religious, and other forms of discrimination. How sad, this student wrote to me, reflecting on the evening, to see those same hardened hatreds now take root here in the erstwhile land of the free. Friends, we've got serious problems. The once fertile soil of our country has grown less and less capable of producing the fruits of reasoned debate. As a Jewish community in our charged times, we feel the pinch more acutely than anyone else. I know what it is I believe in, and if you want to talk about war, peace, and humanitarian values, fine. Just tell me when and where, and I'll show up. But come to me with more than your iPhone and your Instagram feed. You bring your ideas, I'll bring mine, and let's be in dialogue. Let's be vulnerable one with another and appreciate our shared humanity, whatever the differences in our views may be. This is a time for serious people looking to solve serious problems. The time for performance is over. We deserve better. The people of Israel and Gaza deserve better. Most of all, our world deserves better. Shabbat Shalom.